What is going on, my dudes? Tasher here, and of course, as you read in the title, we're going to be talking about our first impressions of Tower of Fantasy, pros, cons, and anything of the like. But before I get into that, I want to preface this video by letting you guys know that this is not Genshin Impact. Period. A lot of people on Twitter and stuff have been kind of comparing the two games, and I'd like to be very, very crystal clear that, in my opinion, these two games are not the same. Just like how people would say, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Genshin Impact are not the same, I don't see Genshin Impact and Tower of Fantasy being the same, even though Tower of Fantasy takes a lot of inspiration from Genshin Impact. And honestly, I don't blame them. It's very, very clear that when making the game, they did a lot of they took a lot of inspiration from Genshin Impact. It's obvious. But that doesn't mean that it's the exact same. First thing, let's go ahead and talk about the pros. I want to talk about the gameplay. I love the gameplay of Tower of Fantasy. I think it's really, really good. It has a few clunkiness to it. Like, if I were to compare Tower of Fantasy to Genshin Impact, I think that Genshin Impact's version of the bow is a lot better, in my opinion, especially when it comes to aiming. But that does not mean that the general gameplay is bad. I really do enjoy like the switch ups that you could do, especially since you're using one character and you're just switching the weapons. I love the mechanics of being able to output the specials, just like in Honkai Impact, and also being able to perform a perfect dodge, which is fantastic. Now, I did a little bit of PvP as well, and it's not bad. Like, obviously, the thing that I'm going to say that could be a con is that pay to play players are going to have the advantage, and that's just a given. That's how it always is going to be when it comes to a game that has PvP. And that's very unfortunate because the PvP system in general, when it comes to sparring, is really, really fun. However, the pro about this is that when you are PvPing, from what I'm seeing in the arena, is that you are going to be matched up with somebody of equal combat power. So that's not bad. That's definitely a big plus when it comes to that. Other pro, the exploration's pretty good. I do have my gripes with it, which we'll get to the cons, but overall, exploring the region or continent or however you want to call it has been pretty fun. I actually like it, and you're not held back by the same standards of stamina, which is another thing that I want to say as a pro. There's a lot of ways to tech around your stamina. Now, instead of, let's say, climbing a mountain like normal, you could actually get on the mountain on the side like you're about to climb, let go and double jump, and then cling to the mountain again. That's just one of the few techs that you could do in the game to kind of make it easier on you. Sure, it's a little bit more button pressing. At the same time, though, I really do enjoy it because of the fact that you're able to do so much more. Now, outside of that, let's go ahead and get into the neutrals. Story's okay. It's okay. That's really all it is. I did have a few moments where I was like, "Oh my god, I'm really invested," but overall the story itself is really just okay. Um which we'll talk about more in the cons because there's the reason why the story is just okay. The enemies are kind of meh. They're, in my opinion, very one-dimensional, as most AIs are. But even with the world boss that we just did, me and my crew, which by the way, another pro guild system, which is fantastic. You guys want to join our guild? We are the Archon Legion, and we are fantastic to join. My boy Anthony Jamo is actually the one that leads the clan, so I digress. You all should join. But anyways, when it comes to like the bosses or even just the enemies, it's pretty basic in my opinion. The perfect dodge mechanic really helps out with the fatter or more fatty enemies that have the bigger health. But overall, I don't think it's too much of a, I would say, detriment or a plus. It's just kind of right there. Now the cons. First thing, lots of bugs. I'm not going to sit here and say that any game has been perfect on launch. However, there's been a lot of login issues when it comes to, Tower Fantasy. I even had my issues at the beginning of stream trying to get in, and I had to do something very specific when it came to logging the game, and it worked. It worked, and I was able to get in. The queue times were terrible, but that's just normal for any game that's multiplayer. I'm not going to levy that against Tower of Fantasy. It happens every single time in a multiplayer game. So for all you guys that are complaining about the queue times and making that a basis of your argument of why Tower of Fantasy is bad, shut up. That's not the reason why it has its bad moments. Now, the biggest thing for me, and one of my boys, Rami, is also very upset about this, and I don't blame him because I'm very upset about this. Is that there is massive time gating. Now, I have my thoughts on why that is, but in general, when it comes to time gating, it is terrible. Now, what I mean by that is on the first day before reset, we were able to go from level 1, start a game, all the way to level 18. That's it. And then the second day, we went from level 18 to level 24. Like, this is just abysmal to me. I don't think that this is something that we should be doing. And I really don't understand too much as to why they went about it this way, except for one thing. And this isn't a political take. I'm just going to say it like it is. In China, they have time, like, you only get a certain amount of time playing game. I'm not going to look too much in the detail. I just know the basics is that they passed a like law where nobody can game for a certain more than certain amount of hours on certain days. So in essence, this makes sense, but at the same time, like for people outside of China, this is going to cause issues. Like time gating everything just sucks. And not only are we time gated on how we progress level wise, we are time gated on chests or, ciphers that are around the whole entire map. Like some of the biggest one was 59 hours until I could actually claim it. 59 hours. That is absolutely absurd. And I get it. If this is because of Chinese law, I'm not going to be, telling you guys you shouldn't do it. But if it's not because of that, why? What was the importance of time gating? Like, we want to play the game. And we all have that issue with Genshin Impact when it comes to the resin system. But this is on a whole new level. Like, this is not just resin. This is literally, I'm time gated from progressing my character. I'm time gated from progressing in the story. I'm time gated from getting loot. I'm time gated on almost everything about the game. And that's not fun. And that's the biggest thing against Tower Fantasy right now. And ultimately making it so I can't really give it the big seal of approval. I'm going to keep playing it because the overall gameplay and the scenery is fun and the story is okay. The character designs are pretty good. I love the weapons, especially since I was able to pull Nemesis, the limited time character. And I've had a blast with the characters that I've had, especially with Samir, Nemesis. I've tried out, Huma, and I think it was Crow. Yeah, Crow. I really wanted to get King, but I couldn't get King yet. But I digress. But with the limits of story, characters, exploration under a time gate, I have to give this right now a 6 out of 10. Now, will this score get better? Possibly. I really have hopeful thoughts for Tower of Fantasy because it is a fun game. It's just that the limited time that we have, especially for me doing a 24-hour live stream, which by the way, this is recording during the 24-hour live stream, it just hurts the game. It really hurts it. And that's the sad thing. So overall, I give it a 6, maybe a 6.5 out of 10 right now. I definitely think if you haven't tried it yet, you should because it is free and it's a lot of fun. But again, just be ready to be time gated. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today. Don't forget to hit that like, comment, subscribe. All of the love in the world to you guys out there for making, my YouTube possible. And have a wonderful day. Be safe out there, and we'll see you guys next time.